Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our ACA Open Enrollment Series. My name is Mindy, and this is part 2 of our series. If you missed part 1 and you want to watch that back, let us know. We'll be happy to send that over to you. You can either send us an email to support@iasplans.com, or you can just simply send us a message here in the chat. We'll get it either way. But today we're going to be going more in depth, discussing 5 big topics, and those are qualifying customers for ACA, who is eligible and who is not, how ACA plans actually work, how and when you should bundle products for the customer's best interest, and how to actually find ACA customers, which is a big one. And finally, we're going to be providing you with telephone scripts that really work at the end of this webinar. So first, I want to introduce our panelists. I'm going to start with you, Greg, if you don't mind. Just remind everybody where you're from, what your role is at IAS, and what your experience is in the industry.
My name is Greg Lorzell, and I'm a sales and marketing director for IAS. Spent most of my career with a company called Assurant Health as a regional sales director in Philadelphia. I have since moved to Delray Beach, Florida, even though our headquarters for IAS is in just south of Nashville in a town called Brentwood, Tennessee, where all the country music people are. So I've done a lot at both a corporate level and agency level. About half of my 37 years of existence have been running agencies like IAS Plans. The other half of my career has been at home offices, executive level home offices, kind of doing those things behind the scenes.
Perfect. Jacob, I see you on video here. I'm going to go to you next. Just tell us a little bit about your role here and where you're from, all that good stuff.
Yeah, my name is Jacob Williams. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and also work in Nashville, Tennessee. And I am in the contracting department here. So when you receive contracts, it's usually for me. I'm also a licensed agent, so I do talk with agents and try to help everybody as best as I can.
Perfect. We got Lloyd and Carrie that just joined on. Carrie, you look beautiful. So I'll go ahead and start with you, Lloyd, and then we'll move over to Carrie.
Yeah, so my name is Lloyd Williams. I live in Nashville, and I've owned agencies in the past. We've had a lot of success with ACA. I do want to say, though, Greg, out of all of us, has tremendous experience with ACA. He's racked up some pretty big years in the past. So it's nice to hear from him.
And I'm Carrie Williams. I live in Nashville as well. I've been in the industry for quite some time now. I started as an agent, and now I am an agent manager with IAS. So
perfect. And we have a special guest today. I see Jeff joining us here. If you could just let everybody know who you are.
Yeah, hi. We're actually here to kind of support the ACA launch with IAS, and I'm here with Chris Bennett, and we're with Bennett Insurance Agency. So we're facilitating kind of all ACA contracting and just making sure you guys get set up. And if you have any questions, we're here to support you. Perfect.
Well, I think so. Not to waste your time, Jeff, we'll go ahead and let you start it off and give everybody what you have.
We're only about 10 days away from window shopping being announced. So once that's announced, all the rates will be made public. And then there's usually a flood to contract with a lot of the carriers that are new in an area. So if you haven't already contracted, make sure you get the contracting process done because there is a big bottleneck that usually occurs within the next 10 days. And you cannot actually sell or until you get a ready to sell status from the carrier. So even if you write an application on November 1st, put your NPN on it, you will just not get compensation for that policy. So highly recommend for you to go ahead and not delay and get that done as soon as possible. The other part of it is, I think anyone that was new to the ACA this year, there was a backlog with the FFM certification for new agents. And there is a webinar today at 2 o'clock with CMS that they're going to give us more details as to what's going on exactly there and how soon you will be able to get newly certified. So if you weren't certified for 2021, you're not able to get certified for your FFM at this moment. So that maybe is part of the reason why a lot of people haven't contracted yet. But after this webinar, we should have a lot more information, and we'll push that information over to your team so they can disseminate it to you as far as at what point we'll be able to get new folks onboarded for the FFM.
Hey, Jeff, can I ask you a question? You know, a lot of people are going to want to go in there and get their FFM certification. And there's two, as far as I can remember, when we were doing it all the time, you either can renew it, which is a lot quicker process than if you skip 1 year, you got to redo it all over again. Is that correct?
Exactly. So if you had your 2021, the renewal link is active and working. What it is that the new certification link, if you didn't do a certification 2021, that certification link is not active at the moment. So
okay, and
it's a technology issue, exactly what they're having, but normally it's up by now. So we're going to get a little bit more insight as to what exactly is going on the call at 2. So we'll definitely disseminate that information to you as soon as we get it.
And once you have that figured out, if you could give us the easiest link, whether it's through CMS or through I know a lot of the carriers sometimes set up a much simpler process to log in and get it done. Whatever you find is the simplest, if you could share it with IAS so that we can get it out to all of our interested agents, that'd be wonderful.
For sure, yeah, we will have a step-by-step guide that you guys can push out to everybody. But I think the biggest point here, I don't know if you've shied away from the ACA in the past, but it's something that's here to stay based on the Supreme Court rulings being dismissed. The persistency rate on those policies is very high, and it's not quite as high a compensation product as some others, but it's really on a volume game. And there's a lot of folks that maybe have a zero premium plan. So that policy is going to stick for quite a while, and they do pay competitive compensation on a per member per month basis. So it's a great way to kind of build a residual income that lasts for years. So I highly encourage you guys to get certified, get contracted, and start selling.
Jeff, are there carriers? I know in the past I've seen this. Are there carriers this year that have restrictions on resident only? For example, some of the Blue Cross products.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're a national distribution partner with any carriers that allow national distribution. So if, let's say, there is a regional carrier that is only contracting local folks, it wouldn't be something that would be offered through our channel. So, that's kind of a moot point. And in most markets, like there's been markets like, I think Alabama comes to mind, and Florida, there was some where they do have the captive Blues in Louisiana. There's enough competition in those markets now that there's viable options for the customers that are just as good, if not better, that are broker friendly and you are able to contract your folks.
So what are some of the captive ones in Florida?
The only one I know of is Florida Blue.
And how does that work? Can you explain it? Because we have a lot of agents that have interest in selling it, but there are some limitations.
Yeah, there's no way you can sell Florida Blue unless you're contracted with Florida Blue. And you have to be a resident
and only Florida Blue, right?
Yeah, you can only sell Florida Blue in the state of Florida.
Right.
Now, if you're selling in multiple states, they do allow. There are some agencies that sell other plans in other states, but in the state of Florida, you can only sell Florida Blue if you're contracted to sell Florida Blue.
Okay.
And let's say Pennsylvania, for instance. Pennsylvania, not only do you have to do your FFM, you got to get Penny certified because they're on their own state platform. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, if you were just selling in Pennsylvania, you'd only have to be Pennsylvania certified, Penny certified. So there are state-based exchanges in several states, and Pennsylvania is one that kind of has just transitioned. New Jersey transitioned last year as well. And in order to sell in Pennsylvania, you'd have to have a carrier contract as well as the Penny certification. And if you're selling in multiple states, you would need both the FFM and the Penny certification. The same applies to Kentucky, New Mexico, California, Nevada, New Jersey. Those are just a few off the top of my head.
Yeah. Now give us an idea of what kind of time it takes to get Penny certified.
I think we've just went through the process recently, and it's relatively streamlined.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not a big time commitment. They could do it for hour and a half on the weekend, and boom, they can do their business in Pennsylvania as well, which there's states like that. that for some agents are going to be very lucrative.
Enrollment process that we're not as familiar with. This is actually our first year. We have independent distribution in Pennsylvania, but it's our first year actually selling directly in Pennsylvania as well. So it will be a little bit of a learning process for us as well.
Okay. And the reason why I say Pennsylvania, and there's others out there, I say Pennsylvania because that's where I'm from. And I have a lot of agent contacts in Pennsylvania. So that's why I brought that up.
There are some very good carriers there, and the compensation is good. And I've heard that Pennsylvania is the most broker-friendly state exchange that there is. That's what I've heard.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, should we dive into our topics here? Y'all ready for that? I think the first thing that we want to go over is qualifying customers, and feel free to jump in here, Jeff, if you have some advice for everybody as well. But Lloyd, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Jeff, if you want to talk about qualifying customers, I think that's a very important part. We've had a lot of experience with ACA, and we've seen where, the agent didn't qualify, we've seen where they put people on the ACA plan even though they had group coverage available to them. That's been an issue. We've seen them take their income and not really explain that the income that they're declaring is what's on their tax return, not what they are receiving from their employer, right? A lot of times people include investments, those types of things. We see small business owners pay themselves a small salary, and they say, "Oh, I make $25,000 a year," but we've looked at their tax return and they make over $200,000. So, what are your tips as far as qualifying a customer for a subsidy?
The number one thing is just to let them know what they're and so that they need to know that this is all based on a projected income of what they're going to make for 2022. If you're enrolling someone in for January 1st of 2022, that's going to be based on their 2022 income, that enrollment. So there is a minimum income. So if you run into someone that says they are going to not work or they don't have any income next year, you're better off referring them to Medicaid because they wouldn't qualify for a subsidy. However, if when it comes to the client, we can only rely on the information they give us. So if they understate their income to you and you put that on the application, that's really the only thing you can go off of. You can let them know, hey, the amount that you tell me of your income is really going to depend on the amount you receive as a subsidy. And then when you actually file your taxes in 2022, like let's say you think you're going to make $20,000 and you end up making $100,000, well, that wasn't too bad a thing, but it will have implications as it pertains to the amount of subsidy that you received throughout the 2022 year. So
right, yeah, in that scenario, if someone says they make $20,000, they end up making $100,000. What will happen is a few things we've seen happen, and you can tell me if you see anything different. But we've seen where on a quarterly basis they request documentation, and so we've seen that, and then we've seen where they don't request, and then the next thing we know, someone files their taxes and has a massive tax penalty.
Yeah, well, the most important thing to do is to notify the customer at the point of sale that if they have any change to their income, to call either yourself, the agent, or the marketplace and update that income. That way it'll adjust their subsidy. So we button that on every sales call, button up. We let them know if there's a change up or down in your income, let us know so that we don't have any surprises come tax time.
Exactly. Very good.
Makes sense. So let's move on down. Talking pretty generally, I'm assuming here about how ACA plans actually work. Lloyd, do you want to start off on that one as well?
Yeah, and then Jeff or anyone chime in at any time. But I mean, ACA plans, probably the biggest thing that stands out is we have a lot of customers that are on group plans and they have Blue Cross Blue Shield. And so they lose their job or for whatever reason they're looking for insurance. And they oftentimes will ask for Blue Cross because they've been on it in the past, so they think it works great. Well, we've seen where it doesn't. So that like Blue Cross is an HMO most of the time for Obamacare or for ACA. And a lot of times they, through an employer, had a PPO. And so they think they go to their doctor, and sometimes the doctor, we've seen this, I actually had an ACA agent did this. He worked for an employer, then he got on an ACA plan with Blue Cross. He had knee surgery. His doctor they kept billing that ACA plan. And then it turned out, like a year later, they found out that they were not covered for that. And so this agent that sold this, did this for a living, found himself having to pay a huge medical expense because the doctor's office didn't catch that, hey, this is a Blue Cross plan. They weren't providers of that. So that's probably the biggest thing is the ACA is, it looks like an employer group plan, but in most group employer plans or PPOs, these are typically HMOs or EPOs and very limited. And there is a lot of confusion with doctors when it comes to, especially like Blue Cross and Cigna, where they're used to seeing them on employer group, and a lot of times their doctor doesn't participate. So that's a very important thing for me.
Yeah, I've actually never heard of that happening, but I mean, typically that would be covered by the agent's errors and omissions policy, in which anyone you contract through us, we do have a blanket errors and omissions policy. So if it went to a litigious situation, the E&O of the agent should pick that up because that's technically an omission. But if it was a network concern, a lot of times the doctor should have verified with the health plan before the authorization before they did any procedures. So
yeah, absolutely. But the funny thing was the agent did that to himself, so he'd have to sue himself.
Oh, the agent did that to himself. Oh,
it was himself.
I missed that part of the story. Yeah, so
Yeah.
It sounds like he may have been misinformed, and but technically, if it was an emergency situation, the ACA plan would have to cover it, and really the doctor should have gotten an authorization prior to doing any procedures from the HMO plan. So I've not heard of those kind of things happening. That's kind of why the ACA was put in place, was to eliminate the need for pre-existing conditions. So any pre-existing condition is covered on these plans. So typically if someone, with another type of insurance, they would purchase another type of insurance and they have a pre-existing condition, that could be excluded. So that's why, this ACA compliant and the ACA bar was created, was to make sure people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the most important thing is for people to really make sure their doctors are in network. Like if they're used to using Blue Cross, for example, if their doctor accepted that, they need to make sure that they accept the ACA Blue Cross. We actually ran into that quite often, so definitely want to help the agents prevent that situation occurring for them.
That's important. Yeah. See, when you're looking up the providers, you need to make sure that is the providers doesn't just accept United Healthcare, that they accept United Healthcare ACA plan. So you'd have to
exactly
specific way.
Yeah,
that's a good point, Boyd.
Yeah, and Jeff, tell us. So what we've always done in the past, and I know you guys are working on this, but what we've always done is we use Health Sherpa just to find the plan, and then once we find the plan and we go to the portal, it's very, you're going to two different places. It's very easy to do, and it works well. And there's going to be some integration on your part to where this just be start to finish Health Sherpa. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Compare kind of like what we're doing with you versus Health Sherpa.
Oh, no. So basically, what we use Health Sherpa. So we would be able to configure your Health Sherpas. Your commission is all based on the NPN that's going on to the application. So Health Sherpa has you can configure Health Sherpa to put your own agent's NPN on there. And really going forward, that's going to be a requirement from CMS. They've kind of already announced that Q1 of next year, you won't be able to submit an application and with another agent's NPN on it, just because of the state departments of insurance want to know who's writing the business. So, without getting in the weeds too much on that, it basically means that you need to be directly appointed with each carrier in order to receive a commission. So, we highly recommend you going through the process now. There are some carriers that will stop contracting. So, you don't want to wait until the last minute or wait until, next year and, they open up another SEP and you can be writing year round and you don't have that option to do.
Right. I do want to let everybody know, if you were not on our previous part 1 of this ACA series, we will send you out all an email so you can get certified and you can get contracted. It literally takes 3 to 5 minutes to contract with all of the carriers. So it's a short process, but like he said, you definitely want to get on top of it.
And then another important thing is with using Health Sherpa. So if you don't have it configured, but you have access to portals, you can go and search plans and then go to the portal and sell through there. But Health Sherpa is great for determining the subsidy, determining if they qualify. And if you put in their income, it will tell you if they're not going to qualify and they need to be referred to Medicaid, which is terrific.
All right. Yeah, and we'll guide you guys through how to get everybody set up with their own Health Sherpa under your agency, so you'll be able to have transparency as to who's producing what, and if you have leads or that you want to flow to the people that are producing, then you'll be able to monitor that in real time.
Excellent.
All right. So I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions for me?
I think we're good. We'll let you get on with your day unless there's anything else you feel like would be pertinent to let everybody know.
I think I can't stress it enough. Just if you haven't already initiated the contracting process, make sure you get that going. That's really vital to getting appointed in time to sell for November 1st. Everyone likes to procrastinate, but I've seen it before where people are like, "Oh why is the appointment taking 3 weeks now?" Because everybody saw the rates for United in Atlanta, and now they're all rushing to get the contract. So that this happens almost every year, especially this year, because there's a lot of carriers that are expanding into a lot of new markets. So
right,
make sure that you get those contracts, and you want to get anywhere you're selling that has a plan available, you want to make sure you have that option, because if you're quoting someone and you say, "Oh, well, I didn't bother getting that Bright Health contract," now that may be the best fit for him, and if you don't have Bright Health, you're not going to be able to get a commission. So obviously we work really hard to find clients. We want to make sure we're monetizing on everyone. There was a lot of agent level bonuses that have not yet been announced, but that's one thing that's kind of differed over the years, that ACA has matured into a market where if you produce at the higher level by the carrier, they're going to actually give you additional incentives in the terms of bonuses. And carriers like Bright Health, they do give a bonus that's paid out even before the effective date of the policy. So that can help kind of get you through. And that's one thing to talk about, payment terms, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of the business you're going to be writing starting November 1st is going to be effective January 1st. And typically payment doesn't come in for those policies until February. So we typically, you're going to be paid directly from the carrier whenever that's available. There are a few carriers that do not facilitate that. So whenever you guys whenever we're able to pay direct, have the carrier pay you direct, we do that. It just saves us a lot of accounting nightmare and a lot of phone calls from agents saying, "Hey, where's our money?" But that's something where, I think you could definitely get that set up. Once you are doing your contract, they'll have your direct deposit information right there.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, thank you guys. And, feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
So, real quick in summary here, I want all the agents to know that this is very convenient, and we shopped around, and we thought, okay, maybe we go to each carrier direct. And one of the pluses of that is, you're getting the full agent commission. But when we started to shop around, the inconvenience of if you wanted to be with every viable carrier and have to go to every one of these companies direct, they tend to put lots of parameters and volume on you to get the full agent commission. Well, we found Jeff. Jeff is right in South Florida where I am. And because of our reputation, because of the volume we do and we can bring, we are able to get the full agent commission for each and every one of you with all the carriers. So now you have the convenience of a one-stop shop that we set up, getting paid direct, as you just heard from Jeff, and also getting the full agent commission, not getting some abbreviated commission because they're giving you a convenience. So this was this was really something nice that we were able to find before ACA started. And now the next thing is we just got to get everybody that's interested contracted, and also get you the link to get FFM certified if that's what you need. So that's what we'll work on here for the near future, because like I said, time is of the essence right now.
Right.
Anybody want to add anything to that?
I do. And so there's something that Jeff said that should have scared every agent on here, and there needs to be a game plan. That is, you're going to start selling in November, I'm sorry. So you're going to sell November and December and through half of January. You're going to be dedicating a lot of time, and you're not going to get paid for it. You're not going to get paid till February. That's not good. I mean, but there's a solution to it. We'll review that. That's something you have to keep in mind. Like, you're going to want to buy leads. You're going to spend time and money marketing. You're going to be very invested in selling these plans, but you're not going to get paid till February. And that obviously can create an issue. So it's very important to add other supplements. And I know, Greg, you talked in the first part of the series where you talked about, if they just sold a dental plan, they're going to get advance on average about $300 for that. So if you can sell dental or you can sell supplements and get some of those, you're going to be able to get started much sooner. You get advance on those. I mean, some of those, like dental, people want to go in effect immediately. And if you're able to do that and you're selling through November and December, and you're making, you sell a dental plan to get a $300 advance, a 6-month advance, that's for an individual or a family could be larger, then you'll have money to live off of. You'll have money to buy leads and further invest in your marketing. And then when February hits, you're going to start seeing these very large paydays, because the goal would be to have a couple hundred plans, which is very possible. We've seen the most I've ever seen is 1,100 plans during open enrollment from one agent. So it was a husband and wife team. Maybe the husband did a lot of work, but either way, the wife got credit for that 1,100 plans. So a lot of
it's not us. Though.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I get all the credit anyways.
Yeah, so I think it's extremely important to understand all of the opportunities for selling supplements. And a lot of agents think, they feel dirty trying to sell supplements, but everything we would suggest are products that really make a difference. So let's talk about a few options as far as adding. One very common thing that we have seen is where you'll have one customer I'll make an example of, husband and wife, they made 80 grand combined. They lived in Texas. The wife had some surgeries on the horizon. And then the husband was a truck driver, and if his ACA plan does not work on the road, like if you need it for an emergency, that's one thing, but he wants to go see a doctor while he's traveling, they don't accept it because he has a Blue Cross plan out of Texas. So we gave them a supplement or a secondary plan through Manhattan Life. It was about $200 a month for both of them. And so when they travel, they use that as the primary. When she's at home and needs surgery, she'll use her ACA plan as primary, and then she'll have the other plan as a secondary. They absolutely love that arrangement. And so that's something that works really well. And in this conversation, we want to talk briefly about how to get leads. And so these two things kind of go hand in hand as far as having something to offer, but how to get leads. And one great way we found to find leads is we have lead options. We have a few vendors where we can put a $4 bid and see what we get, but you're going to be getting between $4 and $6. You'll be able to get a lead, but we want to filter by the unhealthy people. We want to have all of those medical conditions. Those are the customers that are oftentimes blown off by other agents. So those are the ones we want. And that's great. So we're going to be looking for unhealthy people. Under 65 is designed for healthy people. So we have to find supplements that are going to work for people that have pre-existing conditions. So Manhattan Life has a guaranteed issue plan that I think everyone needs to have. It can really help. So if someone's on an ACA plan, let's say they're on a lower level, a bronze or a silver, and they have a large deductible, plans like these can pay for their deductible, can pay for their co-pays, any co-insurance that they can be invaluable. So Manhattan Life is a great guaranteed issue. We have other options as well, but I would say Manhattan Life, National General has the Trio Med, and that's guaranteed issue as well. So that will pay if they have an accident, it'll help with their ER costs. If they have something major happen, it'll also kick in for that if they're hospitalized. So those are some really good options. And you can always schedule one-on-one training before ACA, the open enrollment starts, and we can walk through all of the options, make sure you contract, make sure you understand how they work. But the key is to remember, if you can generate some income during open enrollment, it will allow you to continue to fuel the marketing costs.
Yeah. You mentioned something about people feeling slimy offering other products, and I work in the marketing side, and I will tell you, I hear it from agents all the time, like, oh, I don't want to push people, I don't want to be a salesy person. And educating people on what's available is not being a salesy, pushy person. Some people aren't aware that there are products out there like this that exist that would really cut down their costs throughout the year. So letting them know their options is not being slimy. It's giving them everything on the table and saying, pick and choose what you think makes sense for you. So don't ever be afraid to bring up things that you think could help that particular situation. For sure.
Yeah, we see it all the time where customers are so happy. We really focus on any supplements that really have true value. And I have long-time agents that have been doing this for 20 some years, and a lot of them say, I will never sell dental. But we've never, as an agency owner and then part of the FML, we've never seen or heard more complaints or more scenarios that are, hey, I have a root canal and I need it done now. And they don't have insurance, and they're going to have to wait, a lengthy period of time to get a decent amount of coverage. So putting someone on a good dental plan in the long run, if someone's on it, it pays off. It really does work. And Manhattan Life is the leader in dental right now. I mean, we see all the plans, and when you compare Manhattan Life's, it is fantastic. And it is by far the best when you can compare the value for the customer and the commission that it pays for the agent. It is fantastic. But yeah, we have agents that are selling, dental policies, and they make, on average, $1,000 a year off of selling a dental plan. Imagine selling 100 dental plans a year. Easy to do through ACA, you just made $100,000 just on the dental. And the dental we're selling has coverage for implants, for dentures, orthodontia. It offers major care at day one. No waiting. 100% for cleanings. And so substantial value. And then the same thing with the supplement plans that they have, or the indemnity plans, or the guaranteed issue. Fantastic, great prices and great benefits that will help them. And one thing to know about fixed indemnity plans, which most people on this call do know, but if a customer were to have an ACA plan, and then they have, let's say, Manhattan Life's indemnity, whether it's guaranteed issue or just underwritten, let's say they have an $8,000 deductible, and that secondary, that fixed indemnity plan pays $8,000, but then they're in the hospital and they keep earning these fixed indemnity benefits, it goes directly to the customer, not to the hospital or the doctor. So people can actually, we've seen this happen several times, where their primary coverage is paying the bulk of it, they're using the secondary to help out, and then the overages come in, and they actually get enough money from the fixed indemnity to pay for everything, pay for all their premiums. So there's just a lot of benefit, and it's really important that everyone on this call understands that, because you can really help customers out. And it will get expensive if you're buying $4 to $6 leads for 2.5 months and you don't see any income. It's going to be a dead end at some point. So definitely get supplements paid.
Right. And I don't know if you guys were on the last webinar, but we kind of went in depth a little bit about what kind of money you could make. I mean, you could very realistically make multiple six figures in this 2-3 month period, and kind of sit back and relax a little bit throughout the rest of the year, just take calls as they come in. But it's really important that you do the FFM, and we will send you that if you don't have it. I've got messages coming in from Michael, Yolanda. We'll make sure you both get those. Paul's on here as well, but he was talking to you, Greg. Al is saying if FFM certification is the same as AHIP, he has answers for the testing. It is not, correct?
Different, yeah.
It's very different. Okay. Well, very good. So
I will say the FFM certification compared to the Medicare AHIP, they're not even comparable as far as difficulty. The Medicare is much more challenging. We rarely see people fail the FFM, but the Medicare, it seems like half of the agents fail the first time.
Just to score, you got to pass with a 90 for AHIP. The FFM, 70.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. So Carrie is the best agent I think that I've ever come across. Probably most people. If you guys don't know about her, we didn't get a chance to brag on her, but in her first 6 months of selling, she became the #1 agent for Manhattan Life and sold more in 1 year than any other agent has done ever. And she is not salesy and pushy, which we hear a lot from agents. But she does have some great phone scripts that are really working for her, and she's helped other agents really get their sales up. So do you want to talk about that, Carrie, or do we just want to send them out? Or
we're just going to send it out to everybody who's on the call today. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach me directly, and we can even do some one-on-one training as well. So,
and if the strips don't work, we're not responsible. If you offend someone, we apologize. I did want to recap, though, the earning potential. I think it's really important. I know you talked about it. Greg did a little differently than me. Greg put in the full 75 days. I did an illustration showing 60 days, so saying, hey, what Greg did was great, but mine is like, all right, if I'm going to work 5 days a week through open enrollment, I'm going to work 60 days during open enrollment. And just very quickly, just want to break that down. So if you were to buy $4 leads or $5, $6 leads, whatever, you spend $100, you get anywhere between 20 and 25 leads a day. And we would filter those out. So we'll help you get that set up. But the goal would be that you get these leads, they go straight into your CRM with ACA marketing that it really set you apart from your competition. So if they're talking to other people, you're actually, kind of giving them a lot of education through the text messages and through the emails. So the customers are going to learn to like you before they ever talk to you. They're going to say, oh, this person's really giving me a lot of information, and they're really going to like that. Well, we know from our experience selling ACA, if you have someone that's looking for it, especially if they have health conditions, they're very easy to sell. The closing rate is very high, especially when you're offering them free insurance. So if you were to take 20 to 25 leads a day, and you could just sell 3 a day, and the commission is going to vary based on the carrier. They offer different amounts, but let's just use a number of $25 per family member per month. And so if you sold an individual, you're going to make about $300 a year off of that. If you're able to sell them a $50 DBH, you'll make $360 off of that. So your total for one person is $660. So that's the first plan you're going to sell. It's a single person with a dental plan. Then the second sell you're going to make is going to be husband and wife, 2 members, $50 a month for both of them, total of $600 a year. You're going to make off of their ACA commission. And then you sell them a DBH for $80, which would be $560 in commission. Now remember, there's a 6-month advance on these, so you get paid half of that, $560. But the total for that second family is $1,160 a year that you're going to make off of it. Then the third family, and these are conservative numbers, because you get a family of like 6 and it changes things dramatically. But then the last example of this day, so you have 3 sales, you're going to sell to this individual, a couple, and then a family of 3. Family of 3, you're going to make $900 a year off of that. Sell them a family DBH for $120. That's another $864. So we're talking about $1,764 for that family of 3 for the year between the ACA and the dental. And the total commissions would be $35.84 annualized commissions that you made just selling 3 customers in the way we talked about. It'd be $35.84. You spend $100 in leads, you're getting net $34.84. If you can do that, work 5 days a week through open enrollment, that's 60 days, you'll earn $209,000. And then your lead cost over that period of time is going to be $6,000. So you take that out of what you made, and you're netting $200,000. Greg talked about being more aggressive, which we see people do that, and that just shows
I'm just going to pop this up here while we're talking about it. This was what Greg had set up. So if you want to kind of go through this quickly, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the same thing, but Greg's a big baller. Yeah, 100K, but so Greg's got them working for, 75 days, the full thing, which I think is smart the way he did it. But yeah,
I'm not taking a 2-week vacation in the middle.
During the gold rush. Yeah. So this is a very good. What this shows exactly. I mean, there's so much potential, but you really have to think about what Jeff said. You're not getting paid for ACA until February. So if we look at the example I talked about, where you're selling basically 3 families, and the DBH is going to be 360, 560, and 884. So if you take those totals, that's about 1,800. You get a 6-month advance on that. So you're gonna make $900 that day. And the great thing with Manhattan Life is if you sell something with an advance, they pay you basically a day or 2 later after the customer has been drafted for their payment. So you can get paid fast. And we see agents, Carrie was a good example, where she was getting paid every single day for Manhattan Life. And you're probably, unless you've got some budget already created for ACA, that's a great way for you to fund your marketing.
Perfect. So we have a couple questions on here, and we've got a lot of people chiming in. I appreciate y'all helping each other out. But we've got Sam asking if he took it last year, his FFM, does he need to do it again this year? And that answer is yes, I believe, but I am not the expert.
It's a recertification, which is it's a mindless answering a few questions.
Okay.
Maybe 10, 15 minutes.
And that is ready right now. So you could go in and do that right now.
They've never done it, but they didn't do the 2021. They're having to wait.
Okay. And then I've got Al asking, can we send out any marketing materials from the carriers once we get contracted? Like, can they order marketing materials from the carriers is what he's asking.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Always.
Yes, but I will say everyone needs to understand this. Everything associated with ACA right now is not stable. Like, there's not enough people working with the carriers. That everything is backlogged. And that's not just ACA, that's also Medicare. Medicare is even worse. So yeah, you can certainly request that now, but you definitely want to be, you want to start right now, because anything that you think would normally take a period of time, you can double that at the very least with anything ACA.
Okay. And then we've got Cassandra was asking, and I hope I answered correctly, will the FFM certification be available soon for new brokers? I believe we're going to know that after 2 p.m. today. But Jacob has a nice link set up to get you registered so you can get notifications. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. I will send that out to everybody on the call today. So you should receive something in your email.
Perfect. Well, very good. We don't want to take up too much more of your time. We always try to keep it at 40 minutes or less, and we're just a little bit over it. So
and that's really my fault. You run over it. Can't close my mouth for some reason. My fault.
Did anybody have anything else they wanted to add before we sign off?
Yeah, I just had one thing. I put in the chat my email address as well as my phone number. If you want to get contracted, please feel free to email me or text me, and I will send that out to you today.
Perfect. Well, very good. Well, thank you guys for joining us. If you have questions, you can always call us. Jacob's number is there. If you want to just reach us to speak generally, it's 800-455-0681. And you can always email us as well at support@iasplans.com. So we'll see you on the next one. And every week.
One thing, I want to add one thing first. That is, when you're getting started at the beginning of open enrollment, feel free to call us anytime. Like, if you don't understand something about ACA, if you're new to ACA, let us help you. Don't stumble and try to figure out the solution on your own. We'll help you. Same thing with bundling, whether it's adding supplements or secondary plans, reach out to us. We're here. We want to help you in any way possible.
That's a very good point. You guys may have had very different experiences wherever you came from. If you were with another agency before you came here, but I've even seen our agent managers on the phone closing sales for you. So if you're brand new to a particular product or brand new in general, and you've got people on the phone, let us help you close those sales. That's what we're here for. So
we sell a tremendous amount. For example, this is off subject. We sell a lot of group and IULs for agents that know nothing about it. And we just work with them and they learn in the process. And they catch on and become very self-sufficient. But the first few times, don't miss those opportunities. There's nothing in health and life we can't help you sell. So if you have any interest from any customer, call us. Even if you're not contracted, we'll help you find the right plans, get you contracted. A lot of contracts or appointments are just in time. So when you submit, for example, an IUL, you can actually get contracted while you're selling that first policy.
Right. And by the way, that does not mean that we're taking your commissions or that you have to pay us in any certain way. So we're just here to help.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks again for everybody for joining us. We'll send out everything that we said we will. And if you have any questions in the meantime, you know how to find us. So have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great day.